Hi there, I'm Rodney. I'm a little haircut boy, but I'm also the world's best and only Talking Heads historiologist. And today we've got a lot to talk about. We've got a new single from David Byrne to talk about from his new album, Who Is the Sky? The new single's called The Avant Garde. But also, I want to predict, what is David's new set list going to be for his upcoming tour? The singles from the new album are obviously going to be part of it, but what else can you expect from that set list? So let's get into it. So I've been thinking for a long time, what's David's next set list going to be like? You can almost pencil in a bunch of it. Like, he's going to play a bunch of songs off the new album. He's going to play some of the Talking Heads' greatest hits. But can we dial it in even further? Can we be even more precise and say, I actually really think a lot of these songs are a pretty high percentage chance of getting in. So to kick things off, I've got one bracket of songs and I'm just going to reel off a bunch of names, but I classify these as sort of Talking Heads' greatest hits, the big draw cards. These are the big sing-along songs that everybody knows. So among those would be obviously the big hits. Burning Down the House, Once in a Lifetime. I saw recently that he played This Must Be the Place, and I'm sure he'll play that at the show. Then there's a few others that sort of like, these are in the mix. Some combination of all of these are a good chance. And She Was, Life During Wartime, Nothing But Flowers, Slippery People, and Road to Nowhere. Often there's a few extra little bits added or thrown in for a live show. So, I mean, he tries to keep it fresh, even if he's played these songs for a long time. Then there's the songs off the new album. So what is he going to play? Obviously, we've had 3 singles so far. Everybody Laughs, the one that you've probably seen with the people dancing and doing all those everyday things in the music video. David sort of moving through a whole bunch of scenes. And at the end, it's all of them singing and dancing together. I did an album into a preview video where I talked a bit about that video. You might notice there's a little bit of that video missing. Thanks very much for the copyright strike. But anyway, Everybody Laughs, I think, landed pretty well. A lot of people really like it. I play it for my daughter and she gets into it. So I think that one will get a good go. The follow-up single from the new album was called She Explains Things to Me. And it was a little bit slower, a bit more contemplative. It still sort of grows, but it was a little bit less of a energetic sort of song. I thought it was pretty good. I have seen a lot of comments online from people saying, oh yeah, this is about David and his neurodivergent view of the world and how he sees the world through this prism and that presents issues. And then the people around him help him, which is fantastic. I guess you could read it that way. I don't know that I 100% agree that that's the only reading of it. Obviously, it would be a pretty boring song if that was the only reading of it. Like a lot of great songs, you can read it a lot of different ways and you can all extract something from it. I can extract a lot from it. But the new single, The Avant Garde, I think is really, that's the one that I'm actually the most interested in. I think it's probably even maybe the best of the 3 so far. I also predicted a new single was coming. I see this a lot because bands these days seem to drop one single when the album gets announced. And they go, here's our new album coming and here's a new single from it. And they give you another one just to keep you sort of interested. Then they drop a third one closer to the launch of the album so that it really reinforces, hey, get excited, an album is coming. But I posted the other day, I bet there's a new single coming, and then a few days later, boom, there it was. I had no inside word. It was just intuition. That song, The Avant Garde, I saw some people say, hey, this song's called The Avant Garde, and it's not itself an avant-garde song. It's a pretty straightforward song. I was like, that's rough. That's a rough criticism because just because you write a song about a thing doesn't mean it has to be that kind of song. You can write a song about love songs and it doesn't have to be a love song. You can write a song about punks. It doesn't have to be a punk song. There's a few swears in there. I think there's some interesting concepts and wordplay going on. I fucking love it. There's other songs that David's been talking about from that album. If you saw the recent Amoeba Records What's in My Bag video that David was in, which you should go and watch, he mentions this song, I Met the Buddha at a Downtown Party, which he's also mentioned in a few other interviews. He seems really happy with it. And it just seems, it has one of those funny titles, like I Was Dancing at a Lesbian Bar. And I'm sure it has a similar vibe. He seems pretty happy with that one. I think that you can pretty much lock that one in as being one that he'll play. From then on, it's just about, what is the vibe of the show going to be? What combination of words in these song titles for songs that I've never heard? Which ones do we slot in there? I picked out just a couple that I was like, sounds good, based on, I guess, vibes. My Apartment Is My Friend, I think that'll get a run. And The Truth, the closing track on the album. I reckon that's a good chance. There's also, I noticed, looking at the Wikipedia, there's one extra song called Def Con, which is listed. So that's for Apple Music. That's an Apple Music exclusive. So if you've got your vinyl, you've got your CD, or you're streaming it elsewhere, just remember that you could be on Apple Music listening to one extra David Byrne song. Now, there's a song on the new album called What Is the Reason for It, which is a duet, or it features Hayley Williams from Paramore singing. I actually don't think that he'll play that one live, and I'll tell you why in a second. There's been other times where David's done collaborations with people, and he has played them live. You can think of the song God's Child, which he did with Selena, that he ended up playing live. Obviously, there's like a bit of a backstory to that, and they wrote that song together, and she's big in parts of the world that David wishes that he was big. And then obviously her life story came to a tragic end, so there was a reason to play that song, and David did a good job of carrying it by himself. But for other reasons that I'll get to in a sec, I don't think he's going to play this one. Then we get into some of the solo favorites, some of the songs that are maybe not huge radio hits from the 80s or anything like that, but songs that people know from his solo career that he might bring back. I've been saying since the first singles for this album dropped that it really reminded me a little bit of like Look Into the Eyeball era, maybe even Grown Backwards era David Byrne solo stuff. But one of the songs from Look Into the Eyeball, one of the songs that he played a lot back then and hasn't played that much anymore, is Like Humans Do. And I would love to see him bring that back for this tour. And I think also it's one of those songs that you talk about and people say, oh yeah, I remember that one. That was in Windows when you open the media player, it would just play. A few more choices from the Look Into the Eyeball album will come up later, but let's get to that when we get to that. Other solo favorites that I think he might trot out. I think he'll probably play I Should Watch TV, Strange Overtones, Every Day is a Miracle, all of those songs, mix and match some of those songs, and I'm sure that at least a few of them will get a run. Then we get into maybe some more obscure possibilities, and I'm thinking like these are songs that he might pull out of his back catalog and have also maybe aligned with the kind of instrumentation that he might have on the tour and the kind of energy and vibe that he might be going for on the tour. I've got songs written down here like Angels from the self-titled album, Dialogue Box from Grown Backwards, which I always loved and didn't think it really got its due. A couple of obscure Talking Head songs that might fit the vibe. Again, Hey Now might get a run. Swamp might get a run. Imagine if he played Swamp. I mean, that would be one that people would be like, I can't believe it. A couple of other solo favorites like The Other Side of This Life and My Big Nurse might get a run. And then now I'm really getting desperate, but I'm going back to the Look Into the Eyeball era. During the American Utopia tour, when half of David's band was like wiped out with COVID, they decided we want to still do shows. The rest of us still want to play, but what can we play when we don't have a full band? So he came up with this unchained set list, an alternate set list. And some of the songs from there came to mind as I was putting this together. And again, it brings me back to the Look Into the Eyeball album. But on that tour, they played like The Revolution, which I think he could bring out very easily. The Great Intoxication, Walk on Water, and Neighborhood from Look Into the Eyeball. I would lose my shit if he plays Neighborhood live. That would be incredible. Again, I think one of the reasons why he hasn't has been the instrumentation, but now he might have it, given the people who might be on tour with him. There's also, I think, the possibility for some more horns. I mean, we might even get something from like the knee plays. We might get something from Uh-Oh being brought back in because of the possibility of horns on this tour. That would be really cool. Another one from his old solo career, and also one that he trots out sometimes during his live sets, is Marching Through the Wilderness. He seems to be really happy with that song, thinks it really stands up, and he seems to have really fond memories of writing it, playing it. And I think that's a chance for an obscure possibility that might get thrown into the mix for the set lists. But we're nearly done, and there's really only one more bracket of songs that we could cover, which is crazy covers. David always throws in some crazy covers, sometimes very obscure, even I would dare say Avant Garde choices for covers. One of the things that I think he can bank on that comes under the bracket of crazy covers, and I mentioned this before, is one of the songs that is related to his working relationship with Hayley Williams. You might remember last year for Record Store Day, Paramore and David Byrne released a split 12-inch single of Paramore doing Burning Down the House and David covering the Paramore song Hard Times. I was really surprised that Hard Times wasn't on the album. The songs on the album must be pretty good if that's what doesn't make it. And I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he trots out Hard Times during this live set list as a way of freshening it up, getting a bit more life out of that cover that he obviously really likes the song. This isn't really a cover, but it ties in with the Hayley Williams thing. David and Hayley Williams worked on a soundtrack for the movie The Twits that's coming out, I think, very soon. We might even see a song from that thrown into the mix. It's not really a cover, but I guess it ties into the whole Hayley Williams thing. So we'll see. There might be a way to get in a new song that's not on the album, but is a David song. But my last prediction for what the song is going to be. For a long time, David has picked songs by big pop divas, and we're in a big pop diva era, and you could think of The Rule that Dua Lipa and Charli XCX and Ariana Grande and all of those people have had. But there is one song, one big anthemic song that is of the times, fits in with all of that, has great vibes, would be a great party vibe type song at a show. And there's really only one song that I could be talking about, and that is Chappell Roan's Pink Pony Club. There's my big prediction. David is going to cover Pink Pony Club. I'm going to 2 of the live shows during David's upcoming tour. And if David plays Pink Pony Club, I want every single person in the crowd to stand up, walk over to me and give me a high five because I friggin' called it. That's my prediction for all the songs that we're going to go down on the tour. I may be right. I may be wrong. But I'm mostly going to be right. What song do you want to hear that I haven't even mentioned? Let me know. I'm really excited for the album to drop. I'm probably going to do some kind of listen along or some kind of thoughts video or podcast episode. So stay tuned for that. If you go to the live show, let me know what you thought of it. You can already buy merch. You can already buy merch and or dice. So if you want to go to his website, you can already buy tour merchandise, before you go to the shows. Or you can always buy it at the show like a normal person. But that's it. I'll be back with more soon and can't wait to hear the album. Until next time, take care of yourself. It's been great talking to you. Catch you later.